how do you spot that you have a lot of quiet lurkers in your session? Well, one of the main ways you spot them is by not even seeing that they're there, because most likely they have their cameras turned off. And although the camera off doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's disengaged, there could be lots of other reasons. Quiet lurkers are the ones that usually are on their phone, on their email, multitasking, doing something else. And you might even notice that when you send participants to breakout rooms, they suddenly disappear, they drop off. Or you ask a question and all you get is crickets. So, what is going on in their heads? They're sitting in this meeting, maybe they have an idea, maybe they have a thought that they want to contribute, and before they actually raise their hand and unmute, they ask themselves, well, should I say something? What if I am going to make fun of? What if people will laugh at me? What if it will sound stupid? What if my idea doesn't even make sense? Maybe people will not take me seriously. So there's lots of reasons why they hesitate, and then the moment has passed, the meeting is over, and they actually haven't participated, they haven't shared. And the underlying need that somebody has most of the time when they're this quiet lurker is they don't have psychological safety. They don't feel safe to participate, to show up, to share their ideas. So in this challenging situation where you ask a question and then nobody responds, what should we do? Well, first of all, I like to play my little cricket animation just to make a little bit fun of this whole situation and take the awkwardness out of this moment, and then think of, okay, what are the things I can actually do to re-engage my participants if I haven't done anything until then? And one of the main things I like to do is follow my inclusive debrief framework. It basically is asking participants to engage with the content or the question that I just asked them in different ways. It speaks to different learning styles, but also if you build one on top of each other, they'll be more likely to then unmute. So the first thing that we can do is simply asking your participants to think about their answer. So just giving them some extra time, because often we ask a question and we expect them to have the answer immediately. Yet just pausing a little bit might help them find the answer, and then they will unmute. I would actually say that most of the time when I play my cricket animation with the groups that I work with, just waiting a little bit will help them get the courage to raise their hand, their virtual hand, and share. The second thing we can do is we can ask participants to journal or write down their answer to the question for themselves, maybe even with a pen and paper. We could ask them to go to breakout rooms. And I actually find that that is one way that can be super effective, because in breakout rooms, people often have an easier time sharing with just one person or maybe two partners than speaking in front of a large group. This next thing is kind of it has become a habit. I do this almost every single time. When people come back from breakout rooms, I ask them to share, what is your main takeaway from your conversation in the chat? Now that they have shared in the chat, I can call up on people that have shared something interesting, ask them to elaborate, or I could ask them to nominate their partner. And if they have said something interesting, now they have been nominated by their partner, they're more likely to then unmute. And of course, I can just ask to unmute, but we can also do what I call, or lots of other people call, popcorn style. So rather than going kind of having everyone share, just take a few shares, maybe 2 or 3 people that share their thoughts on this activity. And the reason why all of this works is actually because in breakout rooms, or maybe even journaling, Sometimes that is the psychologically safe space that participants need to test their ideas, but also to build relationships with each other in breakout rooms. And when they come back to the large group, now they find it easier to report their ideas, and they have built some confidence that comes from testing and sharing in a relatively safer space. And this is actually by Amy Edmondson, a quote that I found, who is the person that has made the term psychological safety popular. She's written books about it. There's some great TED Talks about it. If you don't know if you don't know them, make sure to check them out. So these are some things you can do once you are in that situation when participants are not engaging. But what about all of the things we can do before, preemptively, preventatively, to make sure that this doesn't even happen? Well, I'm going to go through exactly those steps in my upcoming workshop, where I don't only talk about the quiet lurker, but also the two other very challenging participants: the oblivious oversharer, the person who just talks and talks and talks and doesn't stop when they get the mic, and the disruptive troublemaker, somebody who actually tries to criticize you, tries to take control over your meeting, doesn't really respect you. Those are some of the most challenging situations you can face if you're running meetings or workshops or anything like that virtually. So if you join me for this new upcoming workshop, we are not only talking about preventative strategies, but also I'll give you the exact scripts of what to say in the emergencies when it's actually happening, when you've not set up your session correctly and now you have to deal with a difficult situation. So I hope that you join me for the upcoming workshop. If you're watching this video before September 13th, 2022, you can join me live. If not, you should check out that link in the description for the replay as well. See you there.